sometimes you just want to do something extra special during your vacation. And this week we're talking about splurging at Disney. This is episode 72. I'm Soraya.
I'm Aurora.
And together we're just your average Disney travelers. Okay, so disclaimer, most of these I would say we probably really haven't done a lot of.
Yeah.
We do like to go, I think that just sometimes going to Disney is a splurge because it's not a cheap vacation. But sometimes you're there for a special occasion, or maybe you just have an opportunity to spend a little bit more or whatever. For whatever reason, there are so many ways you can splurge at Disney. And so we're going to talk about some of those options. Do you want to start us off, Aurora?
Yeah. This was pretty simple. Add extra days to your trip.
That is pretty simple.
And
I think that's probably what we do the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of having the 3 days, we'll have a 4th day.
Yeah. And some trips are longer than others. That all just kind of depends on timing and money and all sorts of things. But that is one extra way to splurge.
I feel like for us, it's like Disneyland's sort of like normal, but then if we're gonna splurge, it'd be like Disney World. Disney World, just in general, would be a splurge for us.
Well, yeah, it's harder to get to Disney World for us where we live. That means a flight. And so whenever and flights can sometimes be pretty pricey. And my way of thinking about it is usually if you're going to spend that much to get over there, let's go and be there for a long time. You know, I'd rather kind of go and have a nice, long, relaxing trip than to go shorter and then want to go again sooner. You know, I'd rather have one longer than two shorter, even though I guess two short, it's a personal preference. But for me, I'd rather pay the one flight.
There's also just so much there.
Yeah.
Because like at Disneyland, you can go through both lands.
Both parks?
Yeah, sorry, both parks. In like maybe like 1.5 day. Depending on your preferences, I mean, we do. We go through like both of it. Day.
That's because when you're not trying to hit everything, you know, if somebody wasn't as familiar with the parks, they would definitely spend more than that.
We can comfortably,
do
it, but then be able to hit everything else. Like we can easily hit everything and like that we want to in like 2 days.
Oh yeah,
and then we have an extra day. Whereas Disney World, you're gonna need like at least 5 days.
So it's not Disney World has so many more parks and other types of things to do even that aren't in the parks that you can put into your vacation, and we enjoy doing all those things. They also have more resorts, and so if you're wanting to explore the resort options and things that they have there, then you know. Like I said before, I like to do rest days at Disney World, whereas Disneyland, we don't usually do the rest days. We usually just have, you know, a few hours during the middle of the day that we go back to the hotel. But if you're doing rest days and things like that, there's just so much more to do. And so
what happens if we, like, had, like, just a day? We can't even, like, it's not even, we don't even have tickets for that day. We're just, it's kind
of like Disneyland or Disney World?
Either, but probably Disney World, where you literally just, it's literally day just to rest. Like
that's what we do sometimes. We have done that.
Oh,
we have done. Well, I mean, back in the day, the last time we went to Disney World was before COVID, and you didn't have to have park reservations. And so back then, we technically could have gone into parks, but there were days that we had put on our schedule not to go into parks that we were going to have as rest days. Okay. And now you actually have to make that park reservation, and so you would previously decide. And I mean, still sometimes you can change that depending on availability and things like that. But anyways, adding extra days makes for a bit more relaxing trip. It gives you the opportunity to do more if you were kind of on the edge of whether you were going to be able to have time to accomplish everything. But it's just, it's a nice way to splurge.
Yeah.
All right. So another option is your hotel selection, of course. No matter where you're going, Disneyland, Disney World, you have a variety of options. At Disneyland, really the splurge is staying on property. Otherwise, you're going to be staying at one of they call them good neighbor hotels, or even some of the hotels in the area that aren't actually classified as good neighbors, but they it's kind of confusing what a good neighbor hotel is. A good neighbor hotel is a hotel that has been meeting Disney criteria. They are, I guess you could say, kind of endorsed by Disney or so. Disney will sell, they actually will do packages with them, but they have to meet criteria. Disney will actually go and do inspections of these hotels. They're not Disney hotels, but just to make sure that they are meeting the standards that they have.
Yeah.
And but there are other hotels in the area that, for whatever reason, whether by their choice or Disney's, they are not in that, I guess, cooperation. They're not technically good neighbor hotels, but any of those off property, you maybe wouldn't, the step up from that is staying on property, because Disney properties are so much more expensive at Disneyland. At Disney World, you can stay off property, but you're so much further away. It's not even completely necessary, because Disney World has so many resorts and they have a variety of price ranges. They have value resorts that are less expensive. And to be honest, we can go and stay at a value resort at Disney World as a Disney World property, a Disney World hotel, for the same price as staying at an off-site hotel at Disneyland. It's very comparable. And so if you're on a budget, you can still do that, staying on property. Now there's ways to do it even less expensive, but now you're talking about going quite a bit away from the parks and things like that. So for Disney World, the splurge would be maybe staying at one of the higher end hotels, the deluxe hotels, or maybe even a villa from the Disney Vacation Club. And I'd say the ultimate splurge for either of these options, whether you're staying at Disneyland, at a Disney hotel, or at Disney World at one of the higher, nicer hotels, is plussing it up with a club level room, staying concierge level, and having access to that concierge lounge and having their assistance with things.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a way to have an ultimate splurge.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next, dining. This is like going to more high-end, fancy restaurants.
Yeah, a little bit nicer.
Yeah, nicer.
I mean, because you can still do, there's plenty of, I guess you could say your first step up would be just table service.
Yeah.
And you're just not doing quick service, or even not taking food into the parks yourself, buying food in the parks. I guess there's so many different levels of this.
Yeah.
But specifically the splurge.
Yeah. Like Disneyland, there's stuff like Blue Bayou,
Carthay Circle.
Yeah, Carthay Circle, Napa Rose, which is at the Grand Californian.
Yeah, the Napa Rose is the one that we have not done. We have done Carthay Circle and Blue Bayou, but we haven't done Napa Rose yet.
What's Carthay Circle?
Carthay Circle is the one that's in California Adventure. It looks like the theater that Snow White debuted at. And it's the white one right in front of the fountain, or behind the fountain. It was fancy food you didn't like.
Okay.
And so we did it once as a family. None of the kids enjoyed the meals because it was a little bit too fancy for them. And so we have not gone back as a family. But I believe you did enjoy Blue Bayou.
For the most
I
part,
don't even remember what you ordered, but I remember, I think
either,
we've gone maybe once or twice as a family there, and that you did enjoy. But anyways, so those are some options.
I don't really care for it. I don't mind it. Like, if we go there, I'm like, okay, well, I mean, that's your money.
And this is where it's really good as parents or the adults to know when it's going to be worth the value. Because
I got a light up ice cube once.
That's true. I think we did get
at night.
Yeah, I think we did buy the light up.
So I mean, ultimately, that time was very worth it.
So some of these splurges, you have to decide: is it worth it to splurge on your whole family? Will they all value it the same? Or maybe is it something you want to hold off and splurge for when you have a couple's trip, or, something like that. So keep that in mind, because like I said, we have not gone back to the Carthay Circle with the whole family, and we're a little bit less likely to go back to really any of the fancier ones with the whole family when not everybody appreciates it or enjoys it as much. It's like, to them, they might as well just be at any other place.
Yeah.
I'd rather save the money and go to any other place.
Yeah. And then like at Walt Disney World, there's Cinderella's Royal Table, the California Grill, and Victoria and Albert's.
Right. On that one, the only one we've been to as a family of those three is Cinderella's Royal Table, which you did enjoy, because that was when you were younger and we had you dressed up like a princess.
Is that the one where I dressed up as Cinderella?
Yes, and we were inside her castle.
Yeah.
And you had the star and all of that. We did the breakfast there. It's really great. But you don't have to only have kids there. That restaurant, Cinderella's Royal Table, also has a non-character meal in the evening, a dinner. And so that is where I think more couples tend to go, or if people with the older families might tend to go to that one if they're wanting to dine there. We haven't done California Grill or Victoria and Albert's. California Grill is up in the Contemporary Resort, and Victoria and Albert's, I believe, is over at Grand Floridian. We haven't done either of those. There's so many restaurants to do at Disney World, and we just don't go there as often as Disneyland, and so there's a lot we haven't tried. I don't know that I would personally find, for me, we're not fancy schmancy people. I like a little bit of splurging every now and then, but the super fancy foods, it's not worth it to me. I don't think even though like there's the novelty idea of going to Victoria and Albert's, I don't think realistically it will ever happen.
I would rather just get something from Tropical Hideaway.
Right. I could possibly see California Grill, though, partly also the atmosphere up on California Grill. It's a great spot to see fireworks if you happen to be up there. I could see doing that. I think that there would be some things on the menu that I would enjoy, and so it would probably be a me and dad trip, though, to be honest.
Probably.
Like an anniversary or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so drinks, going along with the food, for drinks. Now, we don't drink alcoholic beverages, but that is definitely a splurge at Disney. It's good to eat. Anything. Anything is going to be higher priced than you'd see off property, to be honest.
Yeah.
You're going to be paying Disney prices. So if you're going to indulge in adult beverages, especially if you plan to do that frequently or quite often while you're on your trip, that is going to be a splurge. Plan for that price. It's going to be a little bit higher. But other ways that you could, I almost said normal ways, but I guess for some people, the alcoholic beverages are normal ways of splurging. But other ways that you could splurge with your drinks are to purchase the souvenir mugs.
Yeah.
They also have, like you just mentioned, the light up ice cubes. Yeah.
And
so,
it's like, yeah. I mean, we don't really do the mugs. We don't do the ice cubes anymore. But, like, the mugs we have done a couple times, and they're like, unless you're like a collectible, collecting kind of person, then
I like a lot of those things. I mean, we're talking, there's the mugs, there's the popcorn buckets, all of those things. I think they're cute, they're fun. I really like it, but then the reality hits it is, how are we going to store it? How often am I going to use it once I'm home? You know, where is it? Why would I really need to purchase that? And so we do have some, but, you know, let's be honest, most of those collectible mugs, they're not stacking as well. They take up more space.
The only reason, if I were to get a mug is because I don't mind it being sort of a shelf, like, kind of display item.
Display item, yeah.
Like, there's one that we got rid of, which I'm kind of sad now because I could have...
You're regretting it?
But it was like a BB-8 one. And that one looked like a BB-8.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's stuff like that, but I wouldn't really use. Like, these aren't really things that are practical at home.
Well, because at home, like, we do use water bottles and things like that, but we have them already. Yeah, we have ones that are insulated. Right? Yeah, we live in Arizona. It has to be, like, the thermoflasks and things like that. And so the regular mugs that you get at the resorts and parks and things, they're cute, they're fun, they're just not as... practical for our regular daily use. And so we do have a few, but we just don't have a ton. But that is something you could definitely do. And if you have the space to store them, if you've got tons of your upper shelf area in your kitchen is completely empty, by all means, fill it up with Disney mugs. Yeah. You know, that'd be fun.
I personally think the light up cubes, like, at first glance, they might seem like, oh, it's cool, but it doesn't seem to have much purpose. But as someone who used one for years on end, I personally think, like, you gotta think outside of the box with this one. This can be really worth it. I never
knew until we did this podcast that you had been using your light up ice cubes to read at night when you were supposed to be asleep.
I'll just kind of have it in my mouth and just be reading it.
You'd hold it in your mouth? That's what you do? Uh-huh. You know, some people just use little flashlights.
Well, I did have one, but mine was like the one that you click on. Well, one you have to keep unclipping and then reclipping whenever
you turn the page. Yeah.
But also, it kept it was really finicky and it wasn't nearly as bright.
Yeah. That's just so funny. I would not have thought of that, but, you know, there you go. A child that is trying to figure out how to stay up and read. You know, if you're staying up to read, that's fine. Looking back, I am not upset that you stayed up to read.
I was enhancing my ability to... of literature. Wait.
You're funny.
But yeah.
Man, somebody's doing some yard work outside. I hope that's not picking up too much. Ignore it if it is. Okay.
So next up is Genie Plus and individual lightning lanes.
Yeah, FastPass used to be a free thing. That's no longer. So if you're wanting to do that kind of a thing where you make yourselves if you're allowing yourselves to get in a shorter line, that's going to be a splurge these days.
Is there just Genie?
There's Disney Genie, but it's not to skip lines. It's supposed to be to help manage your day. It's supposed to be a help to people, but the truth is now that it's been out and people are using it, it's not. It's really the way that Disney's trying to control the crowds, and they're sending people places that are not the best places. Like, they're telling people, oh, the park's opening. Look, you should go get on Pinocchio, or you should go go to Tiki Room, or places that that's not where you should go when the park opens.
Yeah.
To really manage your time best. Yeah, there's no wait, but you know what? There's always going to be very little wait at those places. And so, it's not turning out. So that is free. It doesn't get you shorter waits in line. But, like you were saying, the Disney Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes.
Yes, definitely money.
And especially
the lightning lanes.
Yes. Especially for, we've seen from the day it started at both Disney World and Disneyland, Rise of the Resistance has been the max that we've seen every single day. It doesn't fluctuate. It's always, at Disneyland, it's been $20, and Disney World, it's been $15. And, it's a splurge, because if you've got a family of 4, that means $80 if you're at Disneyland to ride Rise of the Resistance using the skip the line. That's just for one ride, one time.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh, yeah.
I'd say that's a splurge. So, anyways,
oh, yeah.
that's one way to splurge your day. Now, I'm not going to say that we wouldn't do it. We haven't yet been with Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes.
That's true.
I know.
That's going to be
because it came out right after our last trip.
Yeah.
But I think that we will use them. But we're going to be very conscious of how and when we use them, and it may not be every day.
It's going to take time for us to hone into our new strategy when it comes to these.
That's true. And it's also kind of now these few months, and as we get closer to our next trip, really watching and listening to the input of other people, what their experiences have been and what the strategies are that are working and what are not, and also seeing how the program itself evolves, because I think that Disney is fine-tuning some things. We've seen a few adjustments, especially over at Disney World, which rides are being offered on which side, whether it's Disney Plus or Lightning Lanes. They kind of keep making some changes that way. But anyways, so yeah. Another thing, and I think we kind of have talked about this before, another splurge would be the PhotoPass or Memory Maker. Now, of course, if you are doing Disney Genie Plus at Disneyland, that includes your PhotoPass for the day. But otherwise, purchasing the PhotoPass photos or a package, or at Disney World, they call it Memory Maker when you purchase it as a package, that is a splurge. I mean, it's an extra cost. Most of the time, we have opted to do that because we do use them. We like to get the pictures. But it is an extra cost, and that might not be worth it. Or it's not even about if it's worth it, but it might just not be in your budget. So that might be one where sometimes you splurge on it and sometimes you don't. An ultimate splurge on this would be over at Disney World. They offer now a photo session. They call it Capture Your Moment. I've heard some people calling it Capture the Magic, but I think it's officially Capture Your Moment. But it's a photo session that you book. It's a 20-minute session. You pay for it. I believe they just upped the price, and I want to say it's around $79, I think. I can't remember the amount exactly. But you book a 20-minute session, and then if you don't already have Memory Maker, then you can purchase the photos from that session in a variety of packages. But if you already have Memory Maker for your trip, all those photos are paid for once you've paid for that session. And these are like more than just the standard touristy stand in front of the castle photos. They are actually a photographer that's going to do family portraits of you for 20 minutes. And I believe they're only at 2 parks. I know one of them's Magic Kingdom, and I think the other one is Animal Kingdom right now. I don't know if it plans to go to other parks. But It's something to look into if you're really looking for an ultimate splurge, especially if you are there for a special experience or a special trip, or if, like, say you have kids that are graduating or something. Maybe you want to do some graduation photos or something like that, if that's a special place for your family. So those are ways to splurge or plus up your experience.
Yep. Next up is our tours, which there's lots of them, but the one we have, which is probably the...
Well, I mean, any of them, I think, is a splurge.
They're all definitely a splurge.
And they are starting to come back. I don't know that we have them back at Disneyland yet. I can't think
we have the VIP ones.
The VIPs are there, but the regular, like, Walk-in Disney, or Walt Disney's, or Walt's... Man, I always fumble on the name of it. Walk-in Walt's Disneyland's Footsteps. But they also have sometimes had holiday... tours. They used to have more tours at Disneyland. They've kind of cut back even before COVID, but I don't think any of them have come back yet. I'm hoping that they do soon. Disney World, we are seeing them come back.
Yeah.
But they have, like, Animal Kingdom type animal tours and anyways,
but basically, like, the ultimate splurge are the VIP tours.
That's on your list.
Yes, because that would be awesome.
It would be awesome. Very expensive.
Yes.
One day it'd be the price of a trip.
Yes.
But it would be pretty cool, and that's a way to plus up your experience if you've got the means to do it. You know, another way to do that really a little bit more realistically is if you have a few couples or small groups going together and you went in on it together and split the cost. That could make it a bit more affordable, but it's still going to be a little bit of a splurge.
Yeah.
Okay, so different ways that you could splurge during a rest day. And we've talked about rest days. Usually I'm seeing rest days at Disney World, but you can take rest days at Disneyland. You can go to the spa. Both Disney World and Disneyland have spas on property that are available that you could go and get some treatments. You can rent a cabana at the resort pool, or if you're over at Disney World, one of the Disney World water parks, their water parks have cabanas available to rent. If you're at Disney World, you could go to the new Cirque du Soleil show called Drawn to Life,
which I want to go to.
Yeah, I do too, actually.
I didn't actually realize they had a Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah, they used to a while back. It was not Disney themed. That disappeared it was before COVID, so it wasn't because of COVID. That had gone away a while ago, and they just barely brought back the new show, which is Drawn to Life. Not brought back, but started up again with the new show. And I'm super excited. I would like to see that. I agree with you.
Yes. There are also shopping splurges, which probably any shopping would be really a splurge.
It can be.
Yeah. But the two big ones are like build a lightsaber at Savi's Workshop. Savi's Workshop, which I definitely really want to do.
Yeah, those lightsabers. It's more than just the lightsaber.
It's the experience. I almost said experiment.
The experience of building them, and they're not cheap.
No.
But it's memorable and a fun way to splurge.
And then art. There's many places where you can buy art.
Yeah.
And they're expensive.
They can be. But that's a quality, really good quality type of... I think it's an investment. We've thought about it. There's some things that have tempted Dad and I. We have not yet... we actually have gotten small things, but we haven't gotten, like, big art pieces yet.
Yeah.
But that would definitely be... All right, so other ways that you can splurge when you're doing a Disney trip is if there is an after-hour event or party, to get tickets to those. They're kind of throughout the whole year. You really just have to check and see what's available. Some obvious ones, if you're going during holiday seasons, they do have Halloween parties and Christmas parties, those kinds of parties. But then sometimes throughout the year, they'll have a variety of after-hour events. So check and see. And those usually, they all have a price on it. They're an extra ticketed price that you would need to factor in. But they are fun splurges if you can do it.
Yeah. Dining or dessert packages for preferred viewing of shows and parades.
We like those.
Yeah, especially the Fantasmic one.
The one we did at Disney World?
Yes.
Or Disneyland? Because we've done them both. Disney World, the dessert
package.
I know,
so good.
That's probably your very favorite.
Yes.
And I agree. That's probably one of my favorites too. I'm getting older. And we've talked about this a little bit in the past, especially after the more recent trip we did at Disneyland in November. Man, I'm just not enjoying standing forever waiting for fireworks in a huge crowd, or any show in a huge packed crowd, and then having a hard time seeing because everyone's so packed together and I'm short. And I've really started to think
you need to get like a compactable like step stool.
If it's compactable, I'm afraid I'd step on it. It would just compact.
No, but like you can just kind of fold it up and then put it in a backpack, and then
wouldn't that be funny? I don't think those are allowed. I don't know if they exist, but well, I'm sure that it's not allowed.
I'm sure they exist because it's like a fold-up table,
true.
but like
That's
a stool.
Probably true.
And I don't know. We'll have to check because I don't remember ever hearing about.
I'm pretty sure it's not allowed.
Stools,
and I'm sure the people standing behind me would not appreciate it. Anyways,
I mean, you'd probably be like
on it to begin with.
They'll be like the same height as Dad. So
that's true. So anyhow, I've recently really kind of started feeling the extra value that's available through these packages. I have started thinking, man, yeah, I could see that this becoming a bigger priority for me personally, which is still a splurge because it's an extra cost. But doing these packages with either a dining or dessert party to get preferred seating and not have to deal with all that hassle and having a lot more relaxed, enjoyable experience for sure. Yeah. At Disney World, they offer those firework cruises too.
Yeah.
Which would be cool. I would like to do this sometime. Okay, finally, just a few, and there's so much more than we can even mention in all of this, but other ideas. Over at Disney World, there's experiences that you might not even be aware of, although if you've listened to us, we've mentioned before, there's golfing, boating, horse-drawn carriages or horseback riding, all sorts of different activities you can do throughout the resort in general, or even going off property and going to some of the experiences like both Disney World and Disneyland have things like a medieval times or, other amusement parks or things like that. Although, to be honest, I don't know. I just feel like stay at Disney.
Yeah.
I almost always just prefer to stay at Disney. But yeah, even at Disney World especially, they have so many on-property things, whether you're doing them on your rest days or not, that are just a little bit extra to put into your trip. I think we've talked about in the past those Segway tours. All sorts of different options. So yeah, lots of ways to splurge during your Disney vacations.
Yep.
What's your favorite? Do you have favorite?
Well, I don't have a favorite. But favorites and then stuff that probably would be favorites.
So what are the favorites that we have done? And then what do you want to try?
Okay, well, we haven't done Genie Plus, but I guess Fast Pass for the idea.
Yeah. So you already know what the idea is. Like when we did Max Pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure individual links, but we haven't done that. Dessert packages.
Yeah.
And dinner packages. Yeah. Adding extra days, photo pass.
Those are all things you really enjoy.
Yeah.
So what would
when you buy stuff for me?
When I buy stuff things for you? Anything?
Yeah.
What would you want to try as a splurge that we've talked about?
Cirque du Soleil and then the build a lightsaber.
Yeah.
And a tour. Like this probably
the VIP tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I'll tell you which one is not going to happen anytime soon for sure. Yeah, I think I agree with you on the things that we've done. I really love those packages, like I just said, the dessert and dining packages. And I think there's some things I value a little bit more, like some of the dining I appreciate more than you do, and that's okay. But yeah, I think there are still a lot of tours I want to try that we have not done. I agree with you on Cirque du Soleil. I would really like to try that. But yeah, I think we probably agree on a lot of that, although... For me, building a lightsaber is not the same draw as you.
No. Yeah. But I bet Dad would.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to do that as well.
Yeah. Okay, well, if you're planning a trip and are looking for some ways to make it a little bit extra special, maybe some of those ideas will be on your list now. You can look a little bit more into them and see if that is what you want to put onto your plans. But hope that was fun and informative, and thank you so much for listening in. We will talk with you next week.
See you.